What's up guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, we're breaking down the top 24 players in D3 men's volleyball. Let's get right into it. If you have any sort of grasp on the landscape of Division III volleyball, you know who FrogJump Volleyball is. They're one of the biggest and best analysts of the sport of D3 men's volleyball, and they do a great job of promoting the sport, documenting the sport, commentating on the sport, and analyzing the game, as well as providing some rankings. This past week, they gave their list of first and second team preseason All-Americans, and that inspired me to put together my list of the top 24 players in the country for this upcoming men's volleyball season 2025. That's right. So we're going to cover those top 24 players and compare them to FrogJump's list, see where they compare and contrast, and provide some breakdown on why I picked the guys that I picked. I already had a video in mind before I realized that FrogJump was going to drop their preseason All-Americans. So I already had somewhat of a short list of guys who were on my top 20. That being said, full discretion, FrogJump, their All-American list, let me know that some guys would be coming back for a fifth year that I did not anticipate. So a couple guys that I had to shuffle back into my mix, rechange my order a little bit to reflect some of those fifth year grad players that are coming back. But before we get into it, I'm going to list my criteria for how I selected these players. So there's 8 players on each team. I have a first team, second team, and third team. We're going to dive real deep into the first and second team. Third team, just based on time and my knowledge of those guys, we'll kind of just touch on them on the screen, but won't go super deep into all those players. I picked these guys on my list based on 3 criteria. First, the stats. What were your stats last year? What were your stats in your season? How well did you stack up individually against the rest of your position, the rest of NCAA? Lots that goes into stats in general, but a big piece of where you fall on this list. Number 2, what kind of awards did you get? Were you in your all-conference? Were you an All-American last year? First team versus second team, these things played a part into how other coaches see you and how reflective that is in end-of-season awards. And lastly, what is my insight into you as a player? Did I see you play? Did I see film of you? Did I hear about you? I can make decisions based on what I see and what I know and what I hear. And if I didn't hear about someone at all or didn't see them play, then there's, not to say that they're not a good player, but I feel like I'm pretty in tune with the landscape and pretty aware of guys that are big difference makers on their team. So there's some guys on this list that might be lower on my list than others just based on my perceived impact for them compared to others. The top 8 players on this list that you'll see that I selected are guys that I would pick if I was creating a team of the best all-stars in D3 volleyball. These are the top 8 guys that I would have on my team, and this is just a baseline as we head into the season. Not to say this is going to be how everything pans out, not to say this is going to be the All-Americans that we end at the end of the season, but it's a fun little way to project and see where we are before everything gets started and kicked off. So with that, let's get into our third team of rankings from number 24 to number 17. Also, I'm not truly ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 through 24. I'm not going to rank one by one. I'm ranking by team, first, second, third team. So we're going to start with the third team. Based on the stats that I looked up, based on some of the things they did last year, these are the guys that deserve to be in that top 24 list heading into next year. That is
Koby Sherman,
Norman, Dylan Knapp, Kody Rogan, Tyler Phillips, Alejandro Garcia Fernandez, Ryan Cholewinski, and Ian Rauh. So that's team number 3. Now let's get into some of the breakdowns of Team 2 and Team 1. With Team 2, like I said, these guys are not ranked in order, but we're going to start with number 15, Rauh Kagan. He is a senior this year, middle blocker from NYU. NYU had an incredible run last year in the NCAA tournament, upsetting Southern Virginia in a game that I watched and was one of the craziest games I've seen. The defense and the blocking and the relentlessness that NYU played with during that game was the difference maker. And it was super impressive to see them go against a juggernaut in SVU that was undefeated the entire season and gave them their first loss in 5 sets in a heartbreaker. Rauh Kagan was one of their guys. He led the charge, was a second team All-American, first team All-UBC, led the team with 113 blocks and had 10 games with 10 kills. So he's a difference maker, a big time middle blocker, and I think he's going to translate some of that production into this year, leading the Violets as they look to have another deep run in the tournament. Number 14, player you might be a little bit familiar with, Diego Pena, setter opposite from Marymount. He'll be a junior this year. 203 kills, 368 assists. Diego's a hybrid player, so it's really tough to quantify their statistics when you are setting half the time and hitting half the time and a 6'2", but I think if you see the type of play that he has in some big moments, you'd see his impact. And the thing about All-American voting is they like to see high volume, they like to see lots of kills, they like to see assist to set ratio, but if you're on a 6'2", you're not going to have 10 assists a set. And if you're only hitting 3 rotations, you're not going to have 399 kills. But given the volume he had, he was very productive, very proficient. He's a 5-tool player, blocking, serving, attacking, setting, defense. You name it, he can do it. I think he's going to be a big-time player this year in the CVC, and I think he's one of the top 15 players in D3 volleyball. Number 13, a familiar face, Owen Wickens. I've talked about him on the channel before. He had a big year last year, 316 kills, hitting 292. He's the difference maker for Nazareth. He's their go-to guy. He gets a lot of volume, a lot of attacks. If you're hitting 300 with over 300 kills, you're going to be in that conversation for top 15 players. So just from a volume standpoint, Owen gets the nod here. Jack Normandin from Nichols, back for a 5th year, I believe. He had one of the best games I've seen in the tournament last year against Vassar, where they almost pulled out the win, but narrowly lost. He had like 30 plus kills and just didn't do anything wrong. And that's what I expect out of him this year, just a flawless year of production and leadership and hitting a high percentage. So expect big things from Normandin again at Nichols. Corey Mayonette from Laura's, 406 kills last year on 382. Doesn't really get much better than that. They set their pins a lot and look to see Laura's to lean on him heavily this year. So I think he's going to have another big year. There's no reason why he won't. And look for Laura's to lean on him heavily. Chris Rouleau, senior blocker, middle, hit 441 on 196 kills from Springfield. That is optimal efficiency out of the middle. If you're hitting 450 plus, 450 anywhere in that category of that type of attempts, you're going to be a big time player, and we got to give our middle some love. I know the game is dependent on outsides, dependent on setters, but middles are the game changer. If you have big quality middles, it's going to make you go far, and Springfield knows all about that. Andrew Kim coming in at number 9 here on the second team. You know, he had 511 kills last year on 1,001 attempts, hitting 401. Some might say that is, first team numbers, and I think you could definitely make an argument that he is one of the top 2 outsides in D3 volleyball. But he is, a grad. He's a grad student this year. I'm not sure how many years he's been playing D3 volleyball. This might be his 6th year. So I don't want to take away anything from that, but I think he's well deserving to be a top 10 player in the country. But I just have him on the second team based on the other guys that I see at that position being a little bit better. The last member on the second team that I forgot to mention, so he's technically number 16, but I'm not ranking these guys like I said, is Michael Stahl, right side from Cal Lutheran. He was the difference maker last year for the Kingsmen as they advanced through the NCAA tournament and won the national championship. He was unstoppable. He's big contributor, big oppo, heavy arm, super physical, can block, can attack out of front row and back row. He is going to come back with a vengeance this year, trying to reclaim that throne or defend that throne, I should say. And I think he's a primetime player and well deserving of second team, top 16 player in the country. Coming in at number 8, as we get into our top first team players, top 8 players in the country, I have Luke Hoffman, who I did not expect him to be coming back this year. Coming back for a 5th year with the Juniata Eagles. He hit .425 last year on 190 kills, 97 blocks. Him and Reese had a really special connection going back to their Exeter days, and I expect him to fill right in with whoever they have at that setter position this year. But he does it all, and along with blocking and attacking at a high level, he serves with the best of them, which when middles can serve at a high level, it just makes it so much more difficult as a serve receive when you have 6 players that can serve extremely well. So being in the CVC, seeing Luke at least once a year, more likely than not, more than that, first team player in my book, he is the real deal. At number 7, we have Jordan Cooper, 394 kills last year, hit 294. I think he's a top 2 outside in the country. Led Kowloon to their D3 national championship last year. He was a focal point of that team. Taylor Marks distributing the ball made it really easy, but someone's got to put the ball down, and he is as good as anyone at that. Front row, back row, serving, serve, receive. Another 5-tool guy, can do it all, and one of the best, so well deserving. At number 6, we have Ryan Gibbons, middle blocker from Messiah. Don't have the stats on Ryan, I'll put him up on the screen, but he is a elite middle and does it all. He's one of the best blockers, he hits super high percentage, and just doesn't seem to have anyone that really phases him. No one's really stopping him from what I've seen. He kind of does what he wants, hits around guys, hits over guys, just really dominant at this level. And I think one of the top 2 middles for sure in D3 volleyball. At number 5, we have Dylan Mulvaney, a junior setter from Springfield. Had a big year last year, 875 assists, 9.62 assists per set last year. Just really good feel for the game, gets all his guys involved, distributes the ball well around his team. Springfield has great hitters, but it's on the setter's job to make those right decisions, and he's one of the best. So well deserved of a top 5 player and one of the best 2 setters in the country. At number 4, we have Josh Milky, another setter. He had one of the best assist to set ratios last year at 10.78. Obviously, you have Jacob Lubouliere in the mix, and you're gonna get a lot of assists, but he had 970, so he went above and beyond that. Demonstrated his ability to work the ball around. So we played them, so I saw firsthand his skill set, and I watched Wentworth pretty heavily as they played in the tournament and played some of those games, and he played well. And I think he's going to continue that streak and continue leading Wentworth to the tournament this year. So look for him to do this, if not more, this year. I think he's a top 2 setter. You put Mulvaney and him up there with any other guy in the league this year, and I think they are in that conversation. At number 3, we have Justin Madson, Labero for Southern Virginia. He is a guy that I will speak on purely from playing them. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's elite in serve receive. You don't even really notice him out there because he doesn't do anything wrong. He's super poised. He controls serve receive. He defends well, handles free balls. Just the absolute stud of a libero that you want on a team. Libero is a really hard position to evaluate and compare stats to because digs aren't always indicative of a great libero. But if you watch the tape and you see what kind of player he is, you know he is elite. I think he is one of the best. He's one of the only liberos, if not the only libero on this list. because he's so good. So look for him to have another big year this year and continue to help out Southern Virginia, try and chase a title. At number 2, we have Jared Panowski, senior opposite for Misericordia, and he is a elite player. One of the best 2 players in the country, 440 kills, 319 percentage, the best oppo in D3. He's elite. They dump the ball to him all the time. He's kind of their go-to outlet guy for getting kills when you need to, front row, back row. And he just hits incredibly high over guys. And it's really hard to defend him. There's not really much you can do. You can try and put a big blocker up there on him, but he's just going to chisel around you. He's a primetime player, and I look forward to seeing what kind of impact he has with Miz this year. If they can take down Stevens, claim the MAC, and get that team to the tournament for the first time in program history. So we'll see. And the number 1 player, so the last guy on our first team in the country, I have Christian Schaeffer. 379 kills last year, 371 percentage. Each year he gets better and better. You look at the stats incrementally in percentage, aces and kills. He just gets better and better every year, and I expect him to have another big jump in his senior year. Now, no more Tyler Schaeffer at the helm setting the ball, so we'll see how that plays into what kind of distribution he gets, but I still think he's going to be the best player in the country, one of the most unstoppable players, a really underrated blocker at the outside position. He does a great job of taking on his guy and also helping out in the middle. We play SVU a lot, so I've seen him a lot, and I know what kind of player he is, so I think he's one of one, the best outside in D3, and deserving of one of those top 8 players in the country for sure. So this is my list. Again, here are all the guys. Yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Definitely some guys that, aren't on the list. If you look at the FrogJump list, there are some guys on their list that aren't on here. Part of that's because, maybe I don't know them super well. Part of that is because maybe I feel differently about some things. I know these guys pretty well. I know what they're going to do this year. And if they stay healthy, I expect these guys to be some of the best players in the country. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this year. We're getting closer and closer. January is right around the corner, so stay tuned for all your favorite D3 volleyball content on this channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.